Welcome back, denizens of the night, to V Rising. The V-Blood carrier we're targeting today is called the Winged Horror. This monster is very large, and it even once was the favorite pet of Dracula himself. At first glance, this fight might be quite intimidating, but I've discovered a fairly simple strategy to deal with this creature. Unlike the other bosses we fought up until this point, this one carries one of the soul shards. We're starting with this one because I find it to be the simplest out of all three fights. If you spent a lot of time exploring the Farbane Woods, you might have noticed a location to the northeast that was blocked off called the Dreaded Peak. Up this small mountain is where we will find the Winged Horror, and the only way to get there is with the bat form. The Winged Horror uses a lot of area attacks, and you'll need to use your dash against most of these abilities until you're experienced enough in this fight. To prepare for this, the skills I use focus on a fully defensive setup to soak up all the damage. A lot of the attacks are well telegraphed, so if I'm about to be hit, I use Crimson Aegis to absorb it, then Purgatory to bring my health back up to full. You can exchange Crimson Aegis for Power Surge. It's a smaller shield, but it clears debuffs, which will be quite handy in this fight. You can also exchange Purgatory for Sanguine Coil for more damage. However, this creature flies around a lot, so you may not always have a convenient target to leech life off of when you need health. To damage the Winged Horror, I use a 2-weapon skill combo. It's a large creature making it easy to hit. A combination of the Crossbow Q, known as Rain of Bolts, and the Scythe E, known as Howling Reaper, can do some good damage to it. The last important thing that you need to know is not just to fight it at any time, but to start the encounter just after the sun sets. This area has absolutely no cover, so you need to maximize your nighttime since you won't be able to fight it that well when the sun comes up. You need all the time you can get in case this fight drags on. You should also leave your horse behind at home. I'll explain why later. It'll cost you extra time to prepare, but having good blood and potion buffs can help with this fight. The Witch Potion and Potion of Rage will help to increase your damage, but the Enchanted Brew and Brew of Ferocity can be just as good. Most of its abilities are also fire-based, so a fire resistance brew will also work well for this fight. It starts with 3 main abilities. It can either charge at you, fly into the air and drop Chaos Fire, or swipe at you with its claws or tail and shoot ice lances. If you see 2 orbs to the left and right sides of it, it's about to charge. Pop your shield ability and try to squeeze yourself between its body and either of the Chaos Orbs. With some practice, you'll be able to dodge this attack. If the body of the Winged Horror hits you during this attack, you'll be tossed into the air and usually hit with a follow-up attack. If it swipes you with its claws, or spins with its tail, it launches multiple ice lances in all directions that split apart. If any ice attacks hit you, you'll suffer a freezing debuff that slows your movement speed by 5% that lasts 5 minutes. If it flies upwards, it may start to breathe chaos flames directly downwards. If this happens, several chaos bolts will fly out in random directions, which will also leave the ground ablaze. If you touch these flames, you'll suffer a flaming debuff that lasts 5 minutes. You'll basically be burning for the entire fight, which is why I recommend using healing abilities or Power Surge. As the fight progresses, it will unlock 4 new abilities. It can fly up and across the arena, dropping chaos bombs all over. This dive bomb maneuver can happen up to 3 times, depending on how far you are into this fight. It also has a spell to create a blizzard in a small area. If you're caught inside of it, it will suck you in and keep dealing damage. It can also shoot 4 waves of chaos bolts out of its mouth. These cause a knockback if you're hit, and are very hard to dodge if you're up close. For its last ability, it summons 2 orbs to its side and will shoot a barrage of orbs at you while fanning its wings, which will cause you to be blown back. Upon defeat, you gain a new ultimate ability called Frost Vortex. This is a ground-targeted ultimate ability that creates a blizzard. When it first spawns, it pulls enemies in and slows them. Then for the next 6 seconds, it chills and deals continuous damage. The Winged Whore will also drop a soul shard on the ground. This is an amazing item, but there are some important rules to it. If you pick it up, you will no longer be able to mount your horse, use your vampire abilities to transform, or teleport. Your next step will be to walk this all the way back to your base, clearing out any enemies you may encounter on the way. This is only difficult if your main base is in the Silverlight Hills. Also, if you're wondering why such a feature exists, it's mainly because of the PvP feature set this game has that most of us aren't really playing with. If you started or joined a PvP server, the default is to have only one of each soul shard. The intent is that if you have a soul shard, the other players will raid your base to try to steal it. It kind of reminds me of the good old days back when I used to play Dark Age of Camelot. While you're traveling back to base, you'll also get the chance to try out your new Frost Vortex. When you finally reach your base, equip the soul shard on one of your quick slots, then use it to place it on the ground. Congratulations, you are now the proud owner of the soul shard of the Winged Whore. By interacting with this soul shard, you will gain a powerful buff that increases silver and fire resistance by 50, increases your spell power by 10, and your spell critical strike chance by 5%. This buff will last for 2 hours, and can be refreshed as often as you want. Each soul shard has a buff like this, and there's still 2 more soul shards to go. Next time, the next soul shard we'll go after is the soul shard of the Behemoth in the Cursed Woods. Until then, bloodsuckers, good night.